Hey, this is Todd Luck coming at you with another Pokemon Go video from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This is historic Bethabara Park, which has become a go-to place for Pokemon Go players in North Winston, so let's go check it out. So this sign denotes where the parking is. You just turn in here and you'll have a couple lots to choose from. On the left will be this ridiculously small gravel lot. And on the right you have a paved lot for the visitor center, which is bigger and easier to get out of. So I highly recommend using this, especially when it gets busy. The visitor center is a nice resource when it's open. You can go inside, get out of the elements. There are guided tours and things like that that they offer. And it is also a PokeStop. The PokeStop for the visitor center is actually in a very specific place. If you go to the door of the visitor center and you look to your right, you'll see these pamphlets that you can take, and down at the bottom is a little bitty plaque, and that is the PokeStop, but it is accessible anywhere in and around the visitor center. And so here is the PokeStop. And like I said, right off the bat, you can fill up on supplies or drop a lure right in the parking lot. As you come out of the visitor center parking lot, you're going to come across your first gym, and it's this sign for this birding trail. And here's the gym. Let me note that this place is so popular that by the time I've recorded the first little part of this video, someone has already taken down 3 1000 level Pokemon and claimed this thing. That's how popular this game is and how popular Bethabara Park is. One thing to note is that if you do take that trail to the right just a little bit, just a few steps, you'll come across this area, and this sign right here is a PokeStop, and there are benches around so you could lay a lure here and catch some Pokemon if you wanted, or just come in and get some supplies. And here's the PokeStop. So you're obviously going to want to walk towards historic Bethabara. And remember that visitors parking sign? That's a PokeStop. And here's the PokeStop. Yeah, it's great how it gives you supplies right off the bat. And we're going to take a left and walk this way to get to the gym and some PokeStops. So I'm currently in the middle of this field, still on this side of the road. The church across the street, behind it is going to be the gym, but there's supposed to be a memorial marker here according to the app. There's not, but it still counts as a PokeStop, so when you're in this field you'll be able to get another PokeStop. Might be a good place to bring a picnic blanket if you want to drop a lure here and have a picnic. If you want to go to the next gym, just cross the street and go behind the church. But I'm going to keep going up the street a little bit to show you some PokeStops, like this one right here. And I don't know if any of these buildings are used for a whole lot other than just for show. This isn't like Old Salem or something. This is a free city-owned historic park that basically you just walk around and look at the buildings and where the buildings were at. But they're still really cool to look at. On the other side of the street is this historic potter shop, and this is a PokeStop. Another thing to note is that historic Bethabara has run out on the side of the road that we were on. These are now people's houses, private property. A good rule of thumb is if you see a house with a car in the driveway, it's not part of historic Bethabara. This sign that's going to either mark that you're leaving or entering historic Bethabara, depending on what side you are on, is going to also be a PokeStop. Just a few more steps outside of historic Bethabara Park, this sign for this Moravian church is also a PokeStop. Alright, and there we go. So let's backtrack and go to that gym behind that church in historic Bethabara. Alright, so finally back to this historic church in historic Bethabara, and this is a PokeStop. And as you can see, the gym is right behind the church, so that'll be your next stop. And so this well is the gym, and it is located directly behind the church and is a pretty popular gym for people to try to take and hold. And there are plenty of places to sit down if you want to try to sit down to take the gym. I'm on the back steps of the church right now. And as you can see, it's already been taken over by the red team, which has been pretty active this morning. This was just taken over this morning. I actually met the person who did it with the Porygon. One thing to note, that behind the gym is another PokeStop. This is for the doctor's laboratory. Like a lot of the historic markers in historic Bethabara, it just has the foundation to show you where the building was and how big it was. But so this is another PokeStop. And so if you keep going, you're going to come to this fort, and this is a PokeStop. And the PokeStop is specifically for this entrance right here. Once you get through the fort, you will see these three structures, and this one on your left is going to be a PokeStop. This gunsmith and locksmith shop, or at least its foundation, is the PokeStop. Next to those structures, right next to the road, is this tailor shop and well, and this is a PokeStop, and it's a good place to drop a lure because you've got some benches right here. So you're going to want to keep going and go to your left side. That's where the gyms are going to be at that are next. So right around here is the gym. I'm not entirely certain which structure is pointing to, but if you're in this area, you can get it. So here's the gym, and it's accessible by historic Bethabara, but there's also parking near here, which I'll show you in a minute. Also worth noting, behind the gym, there's a little nature trail down to this well, and that is also a PokeStop. So on your way out, notice that there's a bench you could sit on to take the gem. And in this corner right here, there's this historic old oven, and that is a PokeStop. Now you're going to follow this fence towards this road, and you can see a parking lot from here. So following this fence out to the road and the parking lot, you'll see this sign, and that is also a gym. That's your last gym here at Historic Bethabara. And right across the street we have parking. So you can actually park here and have very close access to this one. And you can just stand near the gym, or you can be in the parking lot across the street. You can actually take it from your car if you want to. It's a very easy to access gym, so a lot of people are going to be fighting over it. If you did park at the visitor center, you're just going to take this road back up to Bethania station and reach the visitor center from there. So a right on Bethania station will take you back to the visitor center, and a left will take you to one last PokeStop that's just a few steps away. So if you take the left, just a few steps from that intersection is this historic marker, which is a PokeStop. And here's the PokeStop. And from here you can just go back on Bethania station and walk back to the visitor center from where we began. And one last thing, I want to go over the Pokemon that I caught while I was out here for 2 hours this morning. Don't worry, this will not take long. As far as Pokemon I found, so far it's just been a few Pidgeys and this extremely low level Eevee. Actually, I don't mind the Eevee. I'm trying to evolve another one, but this is the first Eevee I've seen, and there just hasn't been a lot out here. I suppose also worth noting is I did find a Jigglypuff here. So as you can see, this isn't a real Pokemon rich environment. The real draw here is the 4 gyms that are within a couple minutes walking distance of each other, and this massive concentration of PokeStops. This is probably the biggest concentration of gyms and PokeStops you'll get outside of downtown or a college campus, and the gyms are just much more convenient to get to than any place else I've been to so far. So there are also walking trails that I've heard good rumors about as far as finding Pokemon on, that I'll be exploring a little later. But until then, like and subscribe to my videos, and I'll be back with some more Pokemon Go videos from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.